recognise that the arguments about community method and intergovernmentalism are really arguments of the past, because the answer is it's not one or the other, and that intergovernmentalism has its place. You can't communitarize foreign policy. And therefore, the worry was that by having a permanent president of the European Council, the member states will take over and the Commission moves out. In fact, of course, Van Rompuy's view of Europe is integrational, so he would not wish to do that. What he wants to do is to achieve a coherence and pull it all together. He's opposed to these silly scrummage summits, and is in favour of regularly meeting so the summit doesn't become an event, but he gets the leaders to work together. His Belgium experience and natural capacity for the Belgians makes him an excellent compromiser. We have to remember, though, this is a very, very intelligent man. He is not causing any ripples. The European Council seemed comfortable with him. The relationship with Ashton is potentially very dangerous, clash of egos, and the same with Barroso. But that he doesn't play that role. He doesn't seek to be first fiddle, so to speak. So I think he's only been there for, 9 months, and this will take time to build, but I think he's building a kind of community integration that is modern and will take us to the next stages. I'm very positive towards him. Not being interested in Europe should not be taken necessarily as bad news, because the public in many countries are not interested in their politics. I mean, take Belgium. Here you have a situation where a country could break up, and until recently, have you seen a demonstration? A few flags hanging out in Brussels. Because it's a fight between the politicians. As far as the voters are concerned, they're all in for the take. Same about Italy. Are they interested in politics, or are they interested in who Berlusconi is apparently sleeping with? So we have to be clear that not being interested is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a good thing, provided it's a positive. Let them get on with it. You have a very small, in percentage terms, larger in the United Kingdom, of real Eurosceptics, who not complaining about overspending, etc., which is fair enough, but they don't like the whole thing. And it's easier to argue against the European Union than for it, because you can come out with, I mean, if I say the Brussels insists that bananas are straight, and it's wrong, that's the story.
And it's the story for months to come, possibly.
And it's not the denial. And it's so easy to point a finger, but it's so easy to point a finger at your politicians generally. The problem is not the European Union. The problem is the member states. We have 27 member states. In most of these countries, the government is unpopular. Well, if they're all unpopular, and these guys come to Brussels and to make decisions, ergo, they'll be unpopular. And that's another point. Brussels. People don't realize that Brussels, for the most powerful people, is a meeting place. The decisions of the European Council of Ministers may be taken in Brussels, but they're taken by national ministers. None of this is understood, but we've had 50 years and we've failed in our communication policy. Totally failed. We seem to not have learned any lessons. You're not seeing any serious improvement. What you are seeing is greater transparency. You're seeing much more published. But again, that's dangerous, because too much information can lead to insufficient communication, because you get bogged down in it. So I'm afraid the biggest single failure is the failure to sell Europe, but the main fault actually rests with the member state leaders. They've got to sell Europe, not Brussels.